Salut, bienvenue à ce tuto de grammaire. Aujourd'hui, on va regarder en cours des parties de discours, donc des adverbes. So, in this grammar tuto, we're going to carry on with our exploration of parts of speech, which is only going to help you to get better and better in your French language. And today we're going to focus on adverbs. Adverbs do all sorts of different things, and a lot of them use ment on the end, which is the equivalent of our ly in English. And there is another tuto which talks specifically about that I've recorded for you as well. But this time we're going to be looking at where can we use adverbs. You might find some of this quite surprising that they come into this category. And then you look at some words that aren't necessarily the ones that end in ment. But essentially, an adverb is going to add an opinion, it's going to add a sort of like a bit of colour to your phrase, it's going to add some of your personality and how you see the world. So that's really useful for you because you're expressing yourself, and it's really great for the person listening because they get a much better picture in their mind because you've brought it to life. So let's have a look at when to use adverbs. Now, you probably never thought of these words as adverbs, but they are, and you use them already. So adverbs of time, which indicate when an action is taking place. And the important thing is that we've got the verb word inside adverbs and action. So a verb is an action. So adverbs are always going to be describing verbs, enhancing, bringing them up a little bit in some shape or form. They're going to be giving you some additional information about the verb. And in this case, it's when is the action taking place. So examples would be maintenant, now, hier, yesterday, demain, tomorrow, toujours, always. Adverbs of frequency. These adverbs indicate how often an action occurs. Again, key word being here the action. So how often does that verb happen? And some examples would be souvent, often, parfois, sometimes, rarement, rarely, and jamais, never. Then we have adverbs of manner. These are the ones that you're probably most familiar with, which describe how an action is performed, the manner in which it is undertaken. So examples would include rapidement, quickly, doucement, gently, bien, well, and mal, poorly. This word quite often gets mixed up. This is an adverb, mal. Adverbs of place. These adverbs indicate where an action is taking place. Again, where is the action happening? So ici, here, là, there, ailleurs, lovely word that, elsewhere, and partout, everywhere. Then we have adverbs of quantity. These adverbs indicate how much or how little of something there is. So beaucoup, which you all use, beaucoup de quelque chose, un peu, a little, trop, too much, and assez, enough. We can use assez can modify an adverb of quite as well. Then we have affirmation and negation. So is a statement true or false? So oui ou non are adverbs. So it's good to know that they go in the category probablement, yeah, probably, peut-être, maybe. And then we have degrees. So we had assez, enough here, but the degree or the extent or intensity of something. So we have très for very, assez for quite. So it could be it can mean quite as well. Extrêmement, extremely, and uniquement, only. That's just to give you an overview. That's not going to bring it all to life for you, is it? So let's look at this from another angle. Let's just look at some examples. So first of all, we've got a bunch of adverbs here. And some of these words you'll know, and some of them will be new for you. So this is good to see, bien, because bien is an adverb and it gets quite often mixed up with the adjective, which is the thing that describes, the word that describes a thing, which is bon. So bien, for when we're describing an action. Comme, like, as. Mal, bad, wrong, badly. Volontiers, looks like volunteering really, doesn't it? Willingly. We've got lots of very, very useful words here. But again, just seeing a list of words, okay, it's good to be able to see the translations, but that I don't think that brings it to life for you either. So what we're going to do now is we've got these lists and I can share these with you, and I've already shared them with some of you on a study task. What we're going to do now is we're going to see some sentences, because that's where we can start to see, okay, oh, now I understand. And what I'd recommend you do is you just sort of like hook on to 2 or 3 that you think, oh, I really like the sound of that. That's one I could use really well. And start note those ones down and start thinking about, oh, how could I introduce that into my speech somehow? So let's have a look. So we've got bien. Je me sens bien aujourd'hui. So I feel good today. Yeah, je me sens bien aujourd'hui. So se sentir is the verb. So we're using bien. Yeah, we would use bien, never bon in a situation like that, because that's an adjective. So that's a great one, isn't it? When I ask you how you are at the beginning of a class, comment ça va? Yeah, you could answer with that if you wanted to practice that. Yeah, je me sens très bien, merci, Annie, aujourd'hui, along with la pêche and other things that you know. Comme, j'aime cuisiner comme un chef. I like to cook like a chef. Comme is a really useful word, isn't it? If you're not completely sure of all the vocabulary in a language, because you could describe something, can't you? C'est comme une boîte. C'est comme une boîte. It's like a box. When you're trying to describe something, you might not necessarily know the word for it, but you could say what it's like. And that's a useful way of getting your point across. Mon estomac me fait mal. My stomach is hurting me. Je viendrai volontiers à ta fête. So I will come with pleasure, willingly, to your party. And you could just use volontiers as an answer. You know, do you want to do this? Oh, volontiers, volontiers. Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, it's a lovely way of saying I'd love to. Je veux essayer cette recette à nouveau. À nouveau. So this is, I suppose, you know that nouveau you probably know that nouveau means new. You add a little a in front of it, and it's sort of like newly, if you like. So how does that work out? Je veux essayer cette recette à nouveau. I want to try this recipe again. That's what it means, again. You could use encore there if you wanted to, encore. But à nouveau is used just as commonly as encore. So it's good for you to know that when you're hearing it. À nouveau. À tour, il m'a accusé à tort de vol. Can you guess what that means? So vol is theft. So he accused me wrongly of theft. So à tort is wrongly. À tue-tête, to kill the head, killing head. Il chante à tue-tête dans sa voiture. So he's singing at the top of his voice in his car. So à tue-tête is almost like that's what you'd feel like if you were listening. It doesn't mean he's singing out tune, it means he's singing really loudly. Yes. But that's much more interesting, isn't it, than just saying il chante dans sa voiture, because that doesn't give you an image, does it? But if you see il chante à tue-tête dans sa voiture, you could imagine this person driving along, really sort of like shouting it out. That helps, doesn't it? Understand what you want to say. Elle danse admirablement bien. I don't think that needs any explanation. So ainsi, great little word, this. Can you guess what it means? Nous avons travaillé ensemble, ainsi nous avons réussi. So passé composé there, we worked together, something we succeeded. And it means like that, like this. And as a result, something. Ainsi nous avons réussi. If you're explaining to someone how to do something, you would show them and you would say, tu fais ainsi, tu fais ainsi. So you'd be showing them, you do it like this. Or, you know, I'm going to go and catch the train now, like that. I'll arrive earlier in town or something. Ainsi. Yeah, so lovely little word, nice and neat little word. Good one to introduce into your vocabulary if you haven't started using that one yet. Aussi, you're probably using all the time. So, j'aime la musique classique aussi bien que la pop. Well, we put it as aussi bien. I like classical music just as much as I like pop music. This is almost like a phrase, I think. Bel et bien. Il est bel et bien parti. Well and truly is well and truly left. So that's well and truly. Bel et bien. Well and truly left. Comment? Well, you've got the question word, yeah. Comment vas-tu aujourd'hui? How are you today? Now, this is debout. There's no accent, so don't mix it up with another word that has got an accent on it, which means to start at the beginning. This is de, not de, de. There's no accent. Debout. Restez debout pour saluer le drapeau. It means stand up. This means stay standing up to salute the flag. But debout, so is to stand up, standing up. On a regardé le rugby debout. On a regardé le rugby debout. We watched the rugby standing up. Quelle catastrophe pour les Anglais. Hein? Également, nous partageons également les profits. So we share equally the profits. Également can also be used as aussi. Okay, so where you put aussi, you could put également as well. Ensemble, nous avons résolu le problème ensemble. So we solved the problem together. And I'm sure you can imagine any of these sentences that if we didn't bother with the adverb in there, they'd be a lot drier, wouldn't they? It'd be much more difficult to actually imagine what was happening. Whereas that for me gives me a picture. I can imagine 2 or 3 people, you know, huddled around a desk or something trying to work something out. Because of the word ensemble. You know, I think that sort of like brings it more to life. Exprès, what a great word. Exprès, it's got nothing to do with coffee. No, il est venu ici exprès pour te voir. It means on purpose. Expressly, we'd say, wouldn't we? We could say expressly in English. Il est venu ici exprès pour te voir. He came here on purpose to see you. Mal. Now, this is a word that'd be great if you can master this word, because so many people mix it up with mauvais, which is the adjective. Je me suis senti mal après avoir mangé cette nourriture. So I felt bad after eating this food. So it's how I felt. So we're describing how I felt there. Mieux, another one that people mix up a lot, common mistake. The adjective and the adverb get mixed up. The adjective is meilleur. Meilleur is something, I can see you smiling. Meilleur is an adjective that describes a thing, a noun. Mieux, je me sens mieux maintenant que je suis guéri. I feel better now that I'm healed. There's a lot of how we feel in this, isn't there? Plutôt, plutôt. This is one word. There are 2 words which mean earlier, plutôt, but that's not the same thing. They sound the same, but it's not the same thing. So plutôt, one word. Je préfère le thé plutôt que le café. So I prefer tea rather than coffee. Think of the dog. Pour de bon. Pour de bon. Es-tu ici pour de bon? Any idea what that means? Pour de bon. Are you here for good? As in you're not going anywhere? Pour de bon. Presque. J'ai presque fini de lire ce livre. I've nearly finished reading this book. Tant bien que mal, nous avons réussi tant bien que mal. We have succeeded more or less. Well, it's sort of like more, somehow, more or less. Tant bien que mal. It's not a great result. And the last one we've got here is vite. So like we say fast in English, you can't say fastly, you can't say vitely either, you can't say vitement. So vite all by itself. Dépêchez-vous, nous devons partir vite. Hurry up, we've got to leave quickly or fast. So seeing them in context of sentences is a really good way, I think, of bringing it to life. So I hope you've chosen 2 or 3 that you like and see if you can have a go at pushing them into your conversation. Doesn't matter if you make a mistake. It's a start, isn't it? Bon, bah merci beaucoup et puis bah à bientôt alors. Merci, merci. Au revoir.